If you want to know the secrets of existence and the true meaning of life, I can't help you. But if you want some book recommendations, why not try reading the ones I wrote? If you're a fan of giant monster mayhem and anime weirdness, why not try Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1? If horror is more your style, you can't go wrong with The Occult Mafia. Those who enjoy their fantasy with a dark twist may be interested in Emerald of Maddox City. And if you're interested in shared universes, why not read all three? Hop on down to the description for links to all three books on Amazon. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and welcome to Omni at the Movies, or in this case, Omni on Amazon, because this movie debuted on Amazon Prime as opposed to going theatrical. Well, it might be in theaters, I haven't really checked, but either way, I watched it on Amazon Prime. If you've seen the title, you know what it is: The Tomorrow War. This is a movie that seems to be another case in which the critics and the audience are on exact opposite sides, where critics seem to be panning it, audience seem to be liking it. So where do I stand? I think the movie is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but I certainly wouldn't say it's a disaster. It's a pretty good sci-fi movie. Now, a lot of what I have to say will sound a little negative, so I'll just get it out of the way first. The film is not the most original. For something that is technically an original IP, which is a rare sight these days, there's a lot of familiar stuff in there. It kind of feels like if you took Terminator, the first two Alien movies, The Thing, and a couple other random sci-fi movies and just threw them all in a blender. That would be the result you get. There's stuff in there that feels very familiar, and if I'm being perfectly honest, you can kind of tell where the movie's gonna go. I didn't see any trailers before watching this movie, so if the trailers did spoil anything, it ultimately doesn't matter. As I was watching the film, there were certain things where I could pretty much call what was going to happen. There were a couple of moments where I didn't expect something to happen. Like, it looked like it was gonna go a certain way, and then it turned. Particularly, I won't get into spoilers here, but there's one moment towards the end where it looks like a character is going to make a heroic sacrifice, and it doesn't happen. But it doesn't feel like it gets undercut somehow, like it's robbing you of the drama or something. So, there are moments like that, but for the most part, you can pretty much tell what's going to happen. Now, does this familiarity and predictability make the movie bad? I personally don't think so. Sure, it's familiar, sure, it's predictable, but it's entertaining all the same. It's the way in which all those elements come together that makes it feel like a worthwhile viewing experience. Like I said, not amazing, not terrible, but pretty good. Certainly, there's nothing to be said negative in terms of the acting. I know that not everyone likes seeing Chris Pratt in more dramatic roles, but personally, I think he can do it. When it comes to actors mostly known for their comedic roles doing drama, Chris Pratt certainly is more in the direction of Robin Williams than he is the direction of Jim Carrey. I mean, yes, it's more fun to see him doing fun stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy or Parks and Rec, but he can do drama. I think so, at least. And seeing him in this particularly dramatic role, I think it works. I think he brings enough emotion to it that you believe it's happening during the whole film. You believe these relationships. You believe the seriousness with which he's delivering stuff. And everyone else, I mean, of course, J.K. Simmons, he's pretty much good in everything. Pretty much the whole cast is good. There aren't any, like, really standout performances, sure, but everyone is consistent across the board. And ultimately, I think it works well in that regard. Something also needs to be said about the aliens, the white spikes as they are called. They are truly nasty. Like, there's a lot of build-up as to what they'll be like early on in the film, before we make the leap forward to the future. They're building them up to be these ultimate horrifying creatures. There are people going to rehabilitation, and they're that traumatized. It's said that nobody knows what they look like in the present because the people from the future felt like describing them would dissuade anyone from wanting to go. They build them up so much that at a certain point I was like, there's no way they're going to live up to the hype. They're building them up so much that when we actually see them, it's probably going to be anticlimactic. But nope, our first glimpse of a white spike, I was like, dang, that is horrifying. Like, I wouldn't say I'm gonna have nightmares about it, certainly, but as alien monsters go, they are definitely on the more menacing side. I certainly think they are one of the better designed creatures, certainly. And yeah, they played it pretty well. They didn't build them up too much. They actually felt like they deserved that level of build-up. Really, I think the most interesting thing about the Tomorrow War is the allegory. Because when you look at it a certain way, you could say it's our first post-2020 work of science fiction. At least the first really major one. Because it seems like it's playing off of different things that happened in 2020, particularly the pandemic. I mean, you can take it at face value. You can look at it as just a sci-fi movie that involves time travel and aliens and soldiers versus monsters and things like that. But you can also look at it as a way of processing everything that happened in 2020, particularly with the pandemic, and being almost sort of a revenge story in that regard. Early on, we have Chris Pratt deliver a speech about how what the world needs now is scientists and the science they bring. We have an enemy that is unstoppable, spreads like wildfire, and just kills indiscriminately. You have a story in which the characters are trying to stop this unstoppable menace by creating a solution, a formula, that is administered through an injection. It's kind of difficult to look at this movie and not see it, once you have it pointed out to you, certainly. But it's never bashing you over the head with it. It's not like it takes the meaning, puts it on a sledgehammer and goes, you get what this is about? This is about the pandemic. Do you get it yet? No, it just plays itself completely straight so that, like I said, you can take it as straightforwardly as possible as just a sci-fi action film, or you can take it as allegory. So the fact that the allegory is played with a bit more subtlety means that I think the Tomorrow War is going to age relatively well. I can see it being viewed in another 60 or 70 years the same way that atomic age sci-fi is viewed today, at least the really good films. It's certainly going to age better than all the movies we got over the last 4 or 5 years that just forced Trump allegories into it, whether or not there was actual context for it. So bottom line, the Tomorrow War is pretty good, like I keep saying. If you want to check it out, I can think of worse things to do with your time. It's a very long film, so carve out a nice chunk of the afternoon or evening to do it. It's a commitment. But then again, since it's streaming, you can pause it any time you want. And, well, like I said, you can either view it as allegory for the events of 2020, or you can take it as just sci-fi action. Whatever the case, I think it's enjoyable enough. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
If you enjoyed what you just saw, hop on down to the description for links to Patreon, DeviantArt, and all of our social media, as well as links for Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, and Emerald of Maddox City, 3 original novels I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.